of United hosting the club of Arsenal, hosting the Londoners at Old Trafford in Manchester. And I know most of you are really eager to see what is going to happen, but I tell you what, it's really going to be an intense game. That is it. The game is obviously going to be intense, and don't really go any further. Now, let's get into the confirmed starting 11s of these teams that the respective managers have gone ahead obviously put out in there. Now, for the side of Arsenal, they're having David Raya, they're having Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, Carafiori, Zubimendi, Rice, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, and Victor Gyokeres. That's what Arsenal is really having on their cards. Then the bench. The bench has the following. There is Azebalaga, Mosquera, Timber, Lewis Kelly, Merino, Waneri, Trossard, Madueke, and Kai Havertz. That's what I told you, that Arsenal is really having a rich bench than they used to have the previous season, and that really makes them a deadly side to obviously face at this particular juncture in there for you. So from there, let's obviously slop down to Manchester United and really see how they've gone ahead obviously come in. It's Bayend in there, Dalot, Delete, Mount, Bruno Fernandes, Cunha, Patrick Dogu, Lenny Yoro, Casemiro, Bryan Mbeumo, and Luke Shaw. The subs include Heaton, there is Fredrickson, there is Aiden Heaven, Harry Maguire, Kobe Mainoo, Ugarte, Ahmad Sesko, and Joshua Zexi. That is what the club of Manchester United has gone ahead obviously come up with. Now we jet into the system and how these managers have gone ahead obviously line up in which system and what have they gone ahead obviously deploy. When you look at Arsenal, they are showing us in here that they've gone in for a 4-3-3 system. That's what they're really showing us, that Arsenal has gone ahead to go in for a 4-3-3 system in there. Right. Arsenal have gone ahead to go in for a 4-3-3 system, and it's really having the following. It's really having David Raya in goal, that is it. And they're really having Ben White right back, Carafiori left back, Gabriel Magalhaes, and William Saliba in the central defense, Zubimendi at the CDM, Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard playing as the central attacking midfielder, or the number 10, Saka right forward, Martinelli left forward, and Victor Gyokeres leading the line for the club of Arsenal. And I tell you what, that is the starting 11 for the club of Arsenal. They've gone here to go in for a 4-3-3 system. In this, we wait to see how things will pan out hugely for this particular club, because we are really expectant for them to go for a 4-2-3-1 as they did when they're playing against a team known as Athletic Bilbao. But I think the manager has gone ahead to find out that the best system to obviously deploy in this kind of game is all about a 4-3-3 system, and Mikel Arteta is the manager. Let's go to Manchester United and see how they've gone ahead obviously line up and which system they've gone ahead to deploy. The manager of Manchester United is still adamant, and he's not obviously going to be changing his system to any of the people that have gone ahead obviously call him out, obviously change his system. And we are having Bayinda in goal. Then Lenny Yoro is playing at the right side of the three-man central defense. Luke Shaw is playing at the left of the three-man central defense. And Matas Delete is playing at the center of the three-man central defense. Then Dalot, right wing back. Patrick Dogu, left wing back. Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes in the double pivot. Bryan Mbeumo and Cunha playing as the two number 10s. Mbeumo playing as a right number 10, and Cunha playing as a left number 10. Mason Mount is being played as a false number 9 into this particular system altogether. Now, I'm going to be having my reservations for Man United, because I don't think that the manager is really doing something great. But for the club of Arsenal, it shows you that the manager knows exactly the players he was obviously going to field. As we thought of players like Timber and Lewis Kelly, the manager had already gone ahead to choose in his fellow system. But I talked about Ben White and Lewis Kelly on how they can obviously come into this particular system, or come into the start to dislodge Lewis Kelly and Julian Timber. For Carafiori, in the preseason, the manager has played him as a left back, you understand, and it looks like Lewis Kelly is not that on form, and I said that the manager might use it as an additive force trick in the substitutions as the game really goes on, because the manager knows to it that Lewis Kelly can obviously increase the intensity and the pace of the game when he comes off the bench, as there will be very many spaces in between the pitch. And you know what happens when a team like Arsenal really resorts to that? They can obviously cause all sorts of havocs to you in there. Then for Benjamin White, Julian Timber has just gone ahead to return, and maybe the manager feels like he's not ready for this huge weight of the game as things really go on there. So that is how Arteta's gone ahead, obviously name his starting 11, but put an eye onto a player known as Zubimendi and how he's obviously going to be running that midfield. And he's obviously going to be facing Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro. I think Casemiro has the experience, but I think this midfield of Arsenal is really strong. Declan Rice, Odegaard, they're really having lots of energy. And for your information, no one has energy. You know, when you look at that double pivot of Man United, they can't match the double pivot of Arsenal. Declan Rice and Zubimendi, you know, none of the players at Manchester United can match their energy in that midfield. But all I want to let you know is that they can obviously dedicate play from the deep areas of the pitch. I'm talking about Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro. And the reason I think why the manager has gone ahead obviously deploy Bruno Fernandes that side, it's because he wants him to obviously dedicate that long ball to Cunha, you know, and Bryan Mbeumo. And I think Mount is obviously going to be used as a bait or a decoy to see to it that Cunha and Mbeumo really operate, you know, and Arsenal plays a high line, and the manager, I think, is going to hit to resort to playing that huge long ball in there for you. So that's what I can say about this beautiful game of Manchester United and Arsenal, as far as Mikel Arteta has gone ahead obviously come out and really name his starting 11. So when you look at the live chat, I've gone ahead to see some people in there, and I would like to obviously attack it and see what your thoughts are about this beautiful game of football. I'm having Brandon B. Naid who says, who do you support? I support Man United. That is it. I support Man United, and I run a channel called United Matters channel. You can as well find me there. Then Salome Alupo, Real Premier starts today. All right, it really does. Then Bud says, thanks for the update, bro. Arsenal will win the game by 3-1. Come on, you Gunners. All right. Then Salome Alupo, Arsenal is winning by 2-0. Then Andre Guile says Arsenal 3, Man United 1. Why have Zexi and the bench have Mount up front? Don't see the reason. I also don't really pick it up, because the manager has excluded Rasmus Højlund from the squad, who would obviously play as a number 9, and has opted to play with Mason Mount as a false number 9. But the manager is judged wrong or right when the game of football really comes to an end. And I know when this game of football comes to an end, then the huge judgment will come in through for the manager. But right now, let's see how he has gone ahead, obviously come up with this game plan against a team known as Manchester United. But he has paid huge respect to it, yet he is at home. Bud says, and I think the team with the best midfield will break the chains and win the game. Obviously Arsenal has a better midfield, you know. The midfield is really better, and games of football are really won in the midfield. But the manager of Man United has two midfielders off the bench that can come in through and really change the game. That is Emmanuel Ugarte and Kobe Mainoo, who have always gone ahead to feature dominantly into the season that has gone ahead, obviously, into the preseason. Now, where is Odegaard in there? By the way, if you talk about Odegaard, right? Let me check here. Where is Nogard? That's the question. Nogard hasn't even gone ahead to make it to the bench. That means he has gone ahead, obviously, maybe get a knock in there, but we obviously get what we call the confirmation from the manager as the game really goes on, because you have to come out and obviously tell us what has exactly gone ahead to happen to Nogard, and why he hasn't obviously gone ahead to be named into this particular fixture, whether in the starting 11 or in the players that are really playing off the bench. That is it for the club of Arsenal. And is there any other comments that I've not obviously gone ahead to attend to? I'm having a Biria Dankefa, sure win for Arsenal 3-1. All right, thank you very much. Then I'm having a Bad says, I think instead of playing Martinelli off the wing, Kai Havertz would have passed on the wing. But I think when you look at how things are really panning out at Arsenal, they're really having Trossard back on the bench, and he's a very good option off the bench. I told you, Arsenal are the favorites to win this game of football, and it's a 60% chance for Arsenal to win this game of football, 10% chance for United to walk away with the win, and it's obviously what we call a 30% chance for a draw to come out of this game. That is it, and I'm out. See you later when the game of football is done and dusted. I'll come up here with what we call the match reaction. We out, and we're heading to United Matters channel to break it down at the side of Manchester